All right, hello and welcome to the channel. Today I have something special in store. So first off, we're gonna go and revisit Green-White Depths. I took a list from Moon Madness that went good in the showcase the previous weekend. So I wanted to kind of dip my legs back into the archetype, and I decided to just take that 75 and take it for a spin. But I'm not going to take it for a spin through a regular online league. I'm actually gonna face off against Crucible of Words, which you probably already know is a really talented and good legacy streamer. And I'm really looking forward to this as well. So I'm going to be playing Green-White Depths, and Cyrus is going to be playing 3 of the top decks in the format. I don't know which decks and in which order, but it's going to be interesting to kind of battle against both a very talented player, but also against another streamer. So you'll be able to see their sides of the matchup as well. So it's going to run down like this. We're going to do 3 matches against each other. And then after that, we're going to sit down and we're going to talk through some of the matchups and legacy in general and have like a really nice discussion. So I do recommend that you stick for that as well. Let's look at the deck a little bit. So what do we have in front of us here? Well, we have the 61 plus 15 card deck, which plays kind of the traditional Green-White Depths game. Now, as you know, if you've been following my stream for a while, I have a particular way that I generally like to play the deck. This deck has a couple of different choices, and I'm looking forward to trying that out. So first off, we have the Survey Land. That's something that I discussed, that it's a card that I feel I haven't put down enough time to test out. I usually cut it when it's time for me to play like a more prepared tournament or a larger tournament. But it's when I play it, I always find places where I think that it works well. So that's one of the cards I'm looking forward to. I'm a little bit off the Mazavith as well. It's also one of these cards that I tend to bring in and out of the decks. So it's going to be nice to try that as well. And we're also trying a Beseiju today. A Beseiju, I think, is a really sweet card to have access to. But I'm interested to see what costs. The latest Green-White Depths League that I played 2 basic 4s, for example, and I was really impressed by that. So I'm thinking a little bit if the Beseiju might potentially be a force or not. What's cut from kind of my way of building the deck? Well, we don't have the Saga package. That's the kind of the most apparent one. So the Saga package is missing, and we'll see if that's something that we need for the grind or if that's something that we feel that we can be without. When we look at the creature package itself or the deck itself, so we're playing 2 main deck prismatic endings. I do like to have access to more removal in the deck, so we'll see if that's something that we can have. When we don't play the Saga package, we have a couple of more extra spots that we can put in spells and creatures in. We also play 2 Sylvan Libraries, and Sylvan Library is also one of these cards where I usually always end up with at least 1 in the deck. Then we do not have that many bullets, so we don't have an anti-artifact bullet that we might play, and we're not playing one of the main deck Teagues or Collect Roots either. And then if we look at the board, we have some anti-combo cards in Deafening Silence. We have our anti-graveyard stuff, and then some bullet cards as well. One Thrall, 1 Choke, 1 more Endurance, 3 Force of Vigors. And I mean, the board looks great, as I might have played 1 or 2 cards different there, but outside of that, I think that it's looking good. So we're going to try this deck through a league, and afterwards we're going to have a discussion and talk a little bit about how it's positioned and how to approach some of the matchups and stuff like that. So I'm really looking forward to this. I hope that you are too, and I will see you. All right, so we're live for the first of our test games now. I don't know which decks I'm facing. This hand seems a little bit slow in the dark. We have no early plays our land situation doesn't look that good, so we'll mulligan this. This hand doesn't look a lot better, but we have the sea in it, so we'll keep this on bottom the arbor. So and hope that we're not facing up against aggressive wasteland start. So we're facing up against polluted delta. Could it be Delver? Yeah, it looks like Delver. So maybe not the perfect hand to start up against with Delver, but we'll see where we land up with it. There is a problem here shoving Green Sun Zenith into Daze, and that's that we won't have any green mana after that. But I still think that we need to do that to get something running. And then we have Flagstones and Plow for the Delver, so that's resolved. But we can still, if we face a Lightning Bolt and a Wasteland here, it'll look really grim for us anyway. So against Delver, you want some early interaction, and we have that in Plow, so that's good at least. But we also want to be a little bit ahead on cards, see that we can grab that advantage for ourselves. So they're on the creature beatdown. That's a really good plan against us. And now bolting the Dried Arbor, and that's okay. So what we're going to do here is that we are going to play Flagstones, and then I guess that we're going after. So if we go after the Delver, we'll pad our life total the best, but going after Dragon's Rage Channeler allows us to beat their selection plan, so we're gonna try to go after the Dragon's Rage there, and that looks good. And then next turn we'll have the possibility to Green Sun Zenith for 1, but we just have one land in our graveyard, so, and they just drew the bolt, so we know about that. We're afraid against the Murktide here, but we're not facing that one right now. So we naturally drew a Reclaimer. Here we can do the trick where we wasteland our own Flagstones, which puts 3 land types in our graveyard and also allows us to get a green source. So we'll actually do that. We mostly do not want to waste our own lands, but here I think that it's okay. If we can flush out the bolt, because we know that they are on a bolt. Let's see if they bite. Doesn't seem like they are in the vicinity of biting. Maybe I need to sell it better, I don't know. So the problem here is that now we're kind of stuck to having to, but if we get to untap with the Reclaimer, it's fine. We'll see what happens here on the second Delver, yeah. Now the bolt might be going upstairs. We'll see. 3 cards in hand. All right, we are allowed to untap. So here we can't really go for playing our knight, so we have to hope that the Delver doesn't flip, and then that we can go and start building out for the combo, or trying to find something else in our package that kind of solves this for us. We do have an Endurance, so if we get to Green Sun mana for that would be great, and we should be able to do that, because now we don't have to wasteland our own lands anymore. No reveal there. As I said, our fear right now is a Murktide. That's kind of the roughest card for us to face right now. But so far so good. Not that many cantrips from our opponent's side. That's good news for us. So here we're gonna go for a duel on the Flagstones, I guess. We'll see what happens. So they're bolting face here. Yeah, we can't do that. Now they're going to go for Murktide. Maybe we should have gone for Bog there. I think we should have gone for Bog there, because they're going for Murktide. So let's see. We're gonna, if they have one more bolt, because we can go for the combo here, or can we? All right, let's start looking at what we have access to. We can always delete the Murktide for 1 turn as well. We should have gone for the Bog there. So we'll do that, and then we will get, maybe we just go and prepare for the combo, and then if we draw a land, we'll be able to make the 20/20. But the Bog there was the correct play. Oh, or we can naturally draw it like the professional Magic players that we are. Unfortunately, we will not be able to protect it in any way, but that's okay. Oh, we should have had 1 mana more there. I forgot that we had the Avimai out. That was also a spew, unfortunate, because then we could have gone for another Reclaimer or something that could protect us. Yeah, need to get a little bit tighter, or we could keep a Reclaimer up for protection for the Merit Lage. Yeah, that was untight for me. You can always, when you have Yavimaya out, you can tap the Dark Depths for a mana as well. So we were kind of fine there. It would have been fine there. But now they have to deal a lot of damage to us. Yeah, and they had the Brazen Borrower, yeah. Unfortunate, but that was not well played from me. I should have just kept the extra mana up there. Yes, that is why we practice. That is why we practice. So here I like Path to Exile and Endurance as good cards. There could be an argument for Veil of Summer for fighting their counter magic, but I don't think that's good enough. And then we have Choke as an option as well. So we're definitely bringing in these here. And then what don't we like here? So usually I Ramanap dies to Bolt. So I usually take away one Ramanap and a Sylvan Library. I can also see going down a little bit on Moxen because they're not the best in the matchup. And then we have the Caracas as well, which is a cut that we can do. We can actually keep the Ramanap in and go in like this if we want to Mox Diamonds in. Yeah, that was... So two misplays there, and you're not allowed to misplay against Delver, but we'll try to turn this around. So we'll bounce back, but at least we know what errors we made, and that's always a good place to be. At least that's what I say. See, but yeah, having protection up there for Merit would have been great, and going for the Bog would also have been a good play. Maybe one Veil. Maybe we'll go one Veil. No. So what would we want to veil from them? It's the counter spell. Yeah, we're not interested in that. All right, I'll start. This is a great hand, but it has a really bad mana, so we'll mulligan it. And here we still have bad mana, and we cannot keep this hand. Turn 2 Reclaimer is too bad. Now we'll need to mulligan this as well. All right, this hand we'll keep. We have 2 removal spells, so we'll be able to keep off some early pressure, and then we'll see where we take it from there. We're going to bottom 1 Green Sun Sanitaire and probably the Thespian Stage. Yeah, we'll do that. All right, so 1 Green Sun and 1 Stage. So if you want to see how you lose against Delver, this is a good way to do it. Not being able to go for your basics and then making minor decisions. All right, we're going to play around Daze, so we're going to take it to our turn. We'll see. They bind a Volk, so they probably have mana. All right, let's see here. Crop Rotation is always a nice pickup, so we're going to try to plow the Dragon Rage Channeler, gives them some selection, and then if possible, we're going to bag the second plow for Murktide. Now we have Crop Rotation for potential Wasteland, but I don't like that they have 5 cards. That is the price you need to pay to go down to 5. So Brainstorm is okay, or I can't do anything, so we'll allow it. We need to draw another land because we need to be able to Saiyan it and keep Crop Rotation up. We can protect our fragile mana base. So Scalding Tarn, did we find a threat? Craft Digger's Cage. So the Green Sun Saiyan it is not that impressive anymore. I don't think we have any ways of getting... Yeah, we have the Prismatic Ending. So we could go for the combo. Let's see. Let's play Dark Depths. Crop Rotation on Flagstones. We could start by crop rotating Flagstones and see if that resolves. And then if that resolves, go for the combo. We'll see. So here we're going to look for basic planes. And then we'll see if this resolves or not. It did not. Well, in that case, it was unfortunate. We're not going to play the Dark Depths out here because we still have the possibility to draw into the combo. Unfortunately, we exposed ourselves for Wasteland now. Maybe aggressive to go for the combo there, but we at least fleshed out a Force of Will, so we're a little bit more in parity with cards. Unfortunately, our Green Sun is completely turned off. There's the Wasteland that we didn't want to see, but we can plow or path. We can plow the Dragon's Rage Channeler, and now we can actually play out the Dark Depths because we're going to need all the mana we can, so if they want to waste it, that's okay for us. And if we draw another Yavimaya, it'll give us mana. Threat. So that's a card that we're not going to be playing for a while. Let's see what they reveal. If they reveal something, they did not. Every time they don't reveal something, I'm scared that it's the Murktide. But we have a plow for the Murktide, path for the Murktide. So we need mana. Technically, that's a mana source. And the thing here is that it might be an idea to waste them here as well, because they've missed a land drop. So we'll do that. Maybe we should wait it to after the flip. I don't know. You're going to seek the beast here. So the reveal of lightning bolt, which means that it will flip. We can take a hit or two here, I guess. That's not cards that we want to see. So we'll take one more hit here. No, we won't. We'll plow it here now. Pad the life a little bit. See if they have a basic island. They did. Oh yeah, we knew that from game 1. And now it's Murktide? No, it's Counterbalance. Yeah, Counterbalance is rough as well. Maybe should have had a Force of Vigor or 2 in here. All right, we have a chance here to get rid of the cage. We'll see if that's possible or not. It was not. They revealed Brainstorm. Unfortunate. Yeah, I think this is this game is done for it. Yeah, but it's still going back to that first game where we had those plays. It's never fun to lose against Delver. Well, it's always fun to lose against. So I love that Delver is a good deck in the format, or that it's played again, because it kind of represents the most honest of all the magics. But when you're in this position, it's not the best experience, but at least you get to kind of contemplate your plays a lot. But I couldn't keep the 7 or the 6, and I didn't want to go down to 4 either. So I think that the one thing was when we went aggressively for Marital Age, but they mulled down to 1 card as well. So I think that, like, given that situation, it's I'm not saying that it was the right play, but I think that it was an okay play. We could have gone for the Savannah as well instead of just the Plains, but we'll see. We could also have drawn a land on our draw steps. So what are we hoping for here? When is it too late? So if they don't have any damage, okay, now it's going to be hard for us. So we need a green source now. That's a green source, great. And then we need to, what do we need to do here? We can play the Reclaimer and then we're dead to the flip, or we can crop rotate away the depths and get Talon Gates to phase out their Brazen Borrower, and then see if we can build something from that. That also gives us 1 more mana, but if they flip here, it's not looking good for us. They probably have some kind of permission as well, but we'll see. All right, let's go crop rotation. We'll sacrifice your Dark Depths, see if Counterbalance has anything to say about it. And they revealed Price of Progress. That's fun. All right, good games. See you for the next one. All right, so I get to start the second end game. That's kind. Yeah. Well, I shouldn't complain. This is actually a keep. We'll go turn 1 Sylvan Library with this hand. It was just I didn't see the green mana that I was looking for, but we got it. All right, let's get crushed by mono red with this hand. Well, if it is mono red, it's not too bad. We have the ancient. Is it the Eldrazi? It's either Eldrazi or mono red here. If it's mono red, we will have some stuff to do at least. Fable, sure. So this is one of the matchups that I haven't practiced that much, but that I'm really looking forward to kind of getting some reps with, because it's one of these matches that can be both good and bad. I want to use that ability. Yeah, I'll keep these. Which one? All of them. Aggressive? Yes, it is. But that is what we want to do. So do we go after the goblin here? They have 4 cards in hand. Or do we hope that they play the Blood Moon? We're gonna destroy the Ancient Tomb at least, to limit them a little bit on the mana. And then we'll see if they play... We want them to play Magus of the Moon. That would be the best thing that could happen, because then we can go for Dark Depths, and then we can plow and get a 20/20, and that's nice. There is also a world where we crop for Yavimaya in that position. Okay, now I'm happy that we kept up Swords to Plowshares, because Hasty Goblin is not something that I want to play against. Here we can Maybe crop rotate for Avimaya. We'll see a little bit. Depends on what we draw here. We want to hit a land drop, of course. And if we hit a colored mana source, we can get down the Reclaimer. And the Shaman to go. Okay, Swords of Plowshares is good. Mox Diamond, not that much. So we'll put that on top, and we'll put the ending on top. Add our life total a little bit here. It would be nice with some kind of colored source, so we'll probably take crop rotation to help us with that. We're going to keep a plow here for one more turn, and then we're probably going to take crop rotation to help us with getting another colored source down. Or we plow. Yeah, we can also plow the reflection here. Guess the one ring is bad for us. It kind of depends. So if they go for another broadside, we're going to plow the broadside, of course. But we also need to do something about the reflection. Maybe the play here is to... Chalice on 1, that's not good for us. So we are going to delete that from play, and then we're going to go and get flagstones, and then we'll plow the reflection, and then Chalice 1 resolves. I mean, it's not the end of the world because we do have ending in hand, so we can get rid of the Chalice. Yeah, it kind of depends on the follow-up, of course. If it's a bring here, it's bad for us. It's the Pyroglyph. That's probably even worse for us. So 3 there. All right. Let's see. Besage is nice. So what can we do here? We need to play the Besage, unfortunately. Because the plan here is to go ending on the Chalice and then play a Reclaimer. Go down to 3. Because playing the Ramen up here doesn't do anything. So yeah, that's the play. We'll put... Unfortunately, because we could have played the Wasteland and kept Besage. Can I undo this? Yeah. So what if we play Wasteland now, because we need 2 colored sources. Yeah, we need 2 colored sources. So we'll put Wasteland on the top, and then we'll put a Reclaimer on the top, and then we'll play Besage. We'll end the Chalice, and then we'll play Reclaimer. Ending grew the power of the Goyf. So there were a lot of cards that were dead to here, but this was the play that we had to make. Once again, we're having troubles with the mana. I mean, if we had more colored sources in the early game, the challenge wouldn't have been such of a problem for us, and we'd had developed our board a lot more than we have so far. So we'll see. Probably another Pyroglyph here to finish us off, or a 1 ring. Yeah, that's a potential Pyroglyph. All right, let's see. So we can start limiting them on their mana here. We can play, what's the play here? We can also start working towards the combo. I like wasting them here. Need to kind of limit them on the plays now when they're playing around with ring mana. So I guess that the question here is, do we play out the Excavator? Or do we waste them and just keep Reclaimer up and start building towards the combo? We could, if we have Reclaimer up, let's see, if we get rid, how many card types do we have in our graveyard? We have land, instant, sorcery. No, we can't kill the Pyroglyph. As I was thinking, if we nuke their graveyard, we might be able to kill the Pyroglyph, but we won't be. So we'll actually play out the Ramen up, and we'll hope that the Wasteland will buy us some more time. And then here we'll actually keep both creatures up, because if they remove one of them, we need to be able to block with the other. And here we can actually double block, unless they play something like Broadside Bombardiers, then we're dead. All right, let's go to sideboard. Yeah, the broadside there was rough, but we were kind of behind there. We needed more mana early. More mana early we needed. So what do we like here? We could bring in Doorkeeper's Roll for the Pyroglyph. I think that's kind of free. And then there's the question if we want to bring in Teague for the ring. I don't think that it's strong enough, because it turns off both our Green Suns and our endings, which are going to be good for us here. We can take away the Endurance. We can take away 1 or 2 libraries. Even though the Bog can control the broadside, I don't think that the Bog is strong enough here. We want our Mox Diamonds in, even if they, if our Collector Roof turns them off. What other cuts do we have? We can shave on A crop rotation. No, yeah, we can shave on a crop rotation. I'll take away both libraries as well. And then there's one more cut that we need to make. One more cut. Maybe it's a Senate. The Senate being a little bit slow. Although Senate is a green card. But I don't... We could cut another land. We could cut like a Maze of Ith, because I don't think that the Maze of Ith does that much, and it's more like a spell land anyway. Yeah, we'll cut the Maze of Ith, and then we'll submit it like that. Alright, I would like to play first. Yeah, we'll keep this. We don't have all the pieces that we want, but we have some stuff to do. So we'll play turn 1 Reclaimer. It kind of depends on what turn 1 play they have. If they have the turn 1 Blood Moon, this is... Well, if they have the turn 1 Blood Moon, we can reclaim for a basic. If they have the turn 1 Broadside Bombardiers, this is rough. They bind a Blood Moon, so they still have the Blood Moons in at least. Fable, yeah... Fable is annoying because it gives them a way to jump up to 4 mana next turn, or 5 mana even. But I mean, I guess there's a world where we actually waste them now. It's just that we don't have a guaranteed land drop after that. They're on 4 cards, so if you waste them and they attack into our blocker, we can actually get Delirium, get 3 card types in the graveyard, crop rotate, and then go for a fetch land. We do get some selection here if they don't make any play. So if they attack with Goblin Shaman, we're gonna go for blocking it. Here I would prefer the Doorkeeper Thrall be one of the lands that we boarded out, but you can't choose everything, right? All right, so here we are going to go into blocks. Block there, and then before damage we are going to crop rotate, get a fetch land, and then we're gonna fetch, and we'll get a Savannah, I guess. Could go for a basic here as well, but I just don't think that they're going for the Blood Moon here. They are going for the Blood Moon. Yeah, that's fine. We just need to draw a land here, and we'll be fine. Land, landy land, land, please. Yeah. In this case, it would have been better to go for the basic planes that I was thinking about, but we still need to draw lands to kind of get this match running in any way that we can. So we just need to hit another land drop here, and we'll be fine. Well, we won't be fine, but we'll be okay. Yeah, that doesn't change. Land, that's even worse. No, that's not worse, but it's not a land. It's quite good, actually. If we hit a land, we can get colored mana directly. We could also come to a position here where we both end the Blood Moon and plow the Magus. Not anymore. Yeah, that's probably the game. Land, that's a land. So here we need to plow the Reflection. Otherwise we'll get Pyrogoyfed to death. We're still going to get Pyrogoyfed to death, but at least it'll take a little bit of a longer turn. Ah, no, not another Pyrogoyf. I wish I had my Doorkeeper Thrall down. That would be awesome, wouldn't it? Yeah, now we're dead. Yeah, we can see that one as well. Oh, this is not going as well as I'd hope for. I'll hope for the next game. I'll see you there. All right, we got to be on the play for the last game. Let's see if we can squeeze out a victory here. Why? I need to do a land count after this game. There have been some really stinkers here, but yeah, I can't keep this. All right, I can't keep this either. I'll keep this. I'll bottom a Mox Diamond, and I think that the Safekeeper is a later problem. And then we'll play a Flagstones and hope that we can go for a turn 2 Knight. Now, we'll see what our opponent is on. This time I actually know, because I was warned for the last match, but I want to play on as I don't know which match it is. We are facing against Reanimator, but in the blind, I think that that 5-card mulligan is a keep, so I'm not completely devastated. But knowing that we're playing against a blue deck, be it Reanimator or be it something else, I still think that because we can afford to play around Daze, we'll do that. So Daze is what we're playing around. So we have Ponder here. I don't know if now we know the match, but if we know the match, are we actually playing around Daze there or not? I'm not sure that it's right to play around Daze, but we'll see. So here we can play a Savannah, play a Mox Diamond. discard the deeps, and then go for a knight and see if that's okay or if we're getting forced of willed. Which, I mean, we can't go to 4 there. We can't keep 7 or 6 in that case, so we need to play the hand that we have. I don't... The longer, we're not going to win this game if we let it go longer. So in this case, I think it's just right to go knight. We got a knight. Woohoo! Woohoo! We're halfway there. We're probably going to die to a fatal push. Woohoo! No, not fatal push. Well, yeah, they have wasteland out, so fatal push. But at least we got to dream, right? All right. Yes, that is okay. I cannot do anything about it. And that's push. Yeah, unfortunate. But it is what happens. All right, so here we're gonna do the classic play around wasteland. We have Caracas in hand, which will allow us to bounce creatures that we can't beat, namely Ekraxa. All right, this is... nothing is happening. We have 7 cards in hand. That does not feel bad at all. So, we can get selection because we play the Lush Portugal here. So, all right, how fast do we need to act here? Because we can play Flagstone, sack the other Flagstones, go for Lush Portugal. But we have that play available with the Thespian stage as well. So we can copy the Flagstones with the Thespian stage. Yep. You can taint your indulgence for an Archon. Archon of Cruelty. Such a cruel card. Here I think that we are going to copy our Flagstones and go for the Lush Portugal. To reanimate the Cruelty because we need to find a path and we need to do that fast. Yes, you can reanimate and we'll discard our Flagstones. We actually don't want to see a wasteland here because then our Thespian stage is gone, but we'll copy the Flagstones here, keep the one that's a Thespian stage and go for some surveil action. Crop rotation, that's a card that can get us a 20/20, but they must have force here, right? It's impossible that they're on a 7-card hand without some kind of force effect, but still, it is the card that we need to play. All right, so we'll sacrifice the Lush thing. They have a force of will. Yep. And then are we dead? Not completely. If we draw the combo, we can still make a blocker. We need to draw the combo. That is not the combo. Let's go to the sideboarded games. So here we have some anti-graveyard stuff in Macabres and its extractions, and then we play an endurance here as well. I'd say a Veil of Summer is for this matchup, and then so we can take away the prismatic endings. I don't think that they'll do enough here. We can also bring down in the Doorkeeper's role. The question is, how much removal do we need? How much removal do we need? Here we want to be quick, so we'll keep in the... So Choke is also one of these cards. They tend to play on basics, and they tend to go low to the ground, so I'm not sure that we're going to need that. I'll take away the libraries here. Although it's a good card, it's gonna be rough for us to kind of resolve it. Maybe take away the Ramanap Excavator as well. I don't think that's what this match is going to be about. And then got 1 diamond. We'll submit it like that. I mean, there could be an argument for keeping libraries in. There could be an argument for going Choke. There could be an argument for bringing some kind of artifact removal in because we took away the prismatic endings and we never know what's going to be out of the board from our opponent. But I think this is our best bet. We're a little bit cold if they go like Goyf beat down right now. Then we would have been happy to have the path in at least. But this is how we are going to run it. We have yet to win a match today. But even if we don't win a match, I've had a great time. I really love playing this deck. And I do think that it is a better position deck than I do it justice right now. Because both some suboptimal plays and also a lot of mulligans. I do think that this is an okay deck. We have no Graveyard Hate, but we have a turn 1 Reclaimer. We'll keep turn 1 Reclaimer. We'll start by discarding Windswept Teeth, and then we'll play the Plains, and we'll try to reclaim the Reclaimer. Seeing it for the Reclaimer. It's gonna walk into a push, so this is functionally mulling to 5, like we've been doing. the game. But we can maybe wasteland them and get something going there. That's a nice fatal push. So we'll see if they have their mana set up for them or not. Well, it's no play at least here. I guess we play around days as well. We keep our mana up, so they need to think about it at least. Maybe we should have kept it up with a Windswept Teeth in that case, so they need to think about endurance. But I wanted to copy my planes with the Thespian stage. Good draws here include some way to protect the knight. Legolas Quick Reflexes, a card we haven't seen so far this night, would be an excellent card here. If not Legolas, we could go for some kind of rotation effect. All right, in the end step, we are going to copy the planes. And then we're going to fetch for a basic. Then we could have gone for the Lush Portugal here as well, right? Oh, that's a card. So the thing here is, we'll have that as a later. Now we can. Now I'm a little bit more hesitant going for the combo. But we'll take that as a later. And here we could have also kept the Lush Portugal open. I'm just not really used to playing with that card. Here comes the excuses, but that's what I'm saying, and that's what I'll keep saying. At least we're playing around the double days now by fetching. We have a Force of Will. All right, that makes us happy because that makes the combo a little bit more as a plan. We don't want to see Entomb here. We don't want to see Entomb. Okay, Troll, yeah. Troll is okay. I mean, it's still something that will eventually kill us, but it's better than Entomb, Archon, Reanimate. But with 5 cards in hand, it's like Brazen Bar. But what we can do is that we can play Dark Depths next turn and threaten the combo, so they kind of need they can prevent them on going too deep in playing here. Here is also a potential combo turn from them if they tap out. Barrogoyf, yeah, Barrogoyf is okay. Barrogoyf I will allow. All right, let's see some kind of action here. Crop rotation is some kind of action. So, do we play around Wasteland? Let's see. What are we afraid of? We're afraid of Brazen Borrow or Wasteland? I think we play around Wasteland here. So we'll copy Dark Depths. And then we'll keep the copy, which is this one here. And have crop rotation that plays into days. But if they drop Wasteland, it would look silly. Into, sure. Go for Archon. I understand. And then we'll see if we are dead or not. Do they have the days? Is the last card of days? It isn't. So we'll phase out our 2020. And that's the Borrower. Yeah. It is the Borrower. Yeah. You professional Magic players in the chat, please tell me if going for the combo there was wrong or not. Maybe there's an argument for going for Bayuka Bog instead and kind of not making Archon a card, because that in that case we would have not had to worry about the attack trigger, because here we are dead. I mean, we can Talon Gates and do that stuff, but it's not going to get us anywhere. Maybe we should have just gone for the Bog in answer to Archon. I was just thinking that if we're able to, yeah, that's probably the right play. Yeah, that is the right play, yeah. Yeah, that was a misplay from my point of view as well, but they did have the Brazen Borrow anyway, so we would have been bounced. They would have bounced the token, but we would have a much better board position than we have right now. But we'll play on another turn as well, just to kind of get the that part of the deck as well. So we can pay 1. And we'll go for the deeps, copy Talon Gates, link out the Archon. And yeah, well, of course we should have bogged there. I don't know what I was thinking about. Probably not the correct thing. Probably not the correct thing. Yeah, now they reanimate the egg tracks and we are dead. But we will at least draw some card. We'll draw one more card just to see what it is. Or we won't. We'll just concede the game. Sorry. I'll see you for the wrap up. All right. First off, Cyrus, thank you for battling 3 duels with me.
Absolutely my pleasure. Even though I was the bad guy today.
You were the bad guy, and I was trying to at least as I see, the only thing I tried to do was to cheat out 2020 flyings, and that's as fair as you can get, right?
Yeah, no, I'm fully on board with all the 2020 action you can provide.
Yeah, that's good.
My jam.
That's awesome. So I thought that we'd just go through some of the key takeaways from the matches that we played. And
Yeah, sure.
then
It's a bit unfortunate with some of your mulligans, but that is
yeah,
Magic the Gathering sometimes.
it is. It is, and I'm happy if my mulligans are here today and not when I am out playing in paper or in the Magic leagues. No, but I did mulligan a lot, but I didn't find green mana. That was kind of my problem. The first game that we played that was against Delver, and what I always think and say is that Delver is generally a matchup that you want to face when you're on green white depths or green white X depths decks.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. And I was saying that myself while I was playing through the games. Like, generally speaking, I would rather be on the green white depth side. But then nothing has well, very few decks have an amazing Delver matchup is the thing. Like, you can have a positive matchup, but it's still just playing cheap cards that are very good. So there's always ways it can get you.
Yeah, it's the legacy equivalent of Modern Jund when that was a deck back in the days, the 55% deck.
Back in the day, I loved a bit, John.
Yeah, well, I was on Pod when that was a deck, but yeah, a long time ago. But I think that because when we went through the games, I talked a little bit on how I usually lose against Delver, and one of the ways that that I usually lose against Delver is when Delver has a aggressive creature start and the right kind of interruption, if it's a wasteland or if it's a bolt for a reclaimer or something like that. And I felt
definitely. I think if the game goes long, then you just grind over the top of whatever Delver's doing. So they kind of have to get business done early doors, really.
Yeah, and I think that in the first game you had a couple of aggressive one drops, and I wasn't able to catch up, and I don't remember them in detail, but I know that there was some kind of mana problem involved as well. And when I eventually went for the Merit Lage, I did a slight misplay as well. I didn't think that I had Yavimaya out because I didn't tap the Dark Depths for mana, because if I thought about that, I would at least have had a Reclaimer activation up to kind of protect it, not knowing what you had in your hand, of course. But that's one of the misplays, at least, that I thought about there.
Yeah, like I felt pretty, like my hand was genuinely pretty solid. Like I had like the perfect Delver hand to begin with. I was like, okay, I've got removal for little guys, I've got counter spells, and I've got 2 threats in my opener, I think, to begin with. So I just felt like I was in a pretty solid position. And I think it was the second game where I pretty much used all the resources I had left to get through. And that is kind of the Delver experience, where your opponent dies, where they have like 4 cards in hand, and you've got nothing, but you've managed to just get over the line. I think that sort of showcased the sort of the lines that the different decks work on, because your deck is able to grind a lot more efficiently.
Yeah, you kind of trade or you spend resources early to close the game quickly against me. I spend resources early to hinder you from closing the game. But then if I'm able to do that, if I get down in endurance, for example, or something that can kind of get rid of your blockers, I think, or make it that you can't attack. And then I get to land like a knight or 2. I think it's looking good from my point of view. I also remember... Sorry,
no, you go on.
No, there was also a play there when you bolted me, and I was talking a little bit about maybe I should have gone for Bog there, because I think it was quite clear that you had a Murktide in your hand there and just wanted to add up to the graveyard. So I think that was I went for something else instead. But I think that was also because was what I was talking a little bit about is one of the threats that's really hard for the green white depth deck to handle is the Murktide, because it's large, it closes the game quickly, and it's maybe you can have a Maze Rift or something like that, but you have Wastelands and stuff like that. So that's one of the things that I really need to prevent.
I think it's also how the Delver game starts off. So if the Delver game starts off with little creatures, then you have to use your Swords to Plowshares earlier on those little creatures. And then all of a sudden there's a big Murktide, and it's kind of a bit of a problem to deal with, which can definitely snowball out of control. Whereas if I have a Delver hand that's a little bit slower and we're doing Seek the Beast type stuff, I would not back myself to win that matchup if I'm sort of spending turns just accruing a little bit of card advantage and just giving you the breathing room.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And one more thing about that, because that was a situation that came up in this game as well, is that you had both an unflipped Delver and 1/1 Dragon's Rage out, and I had a Swords of Plowshares. And I'm not really sure what the correct threat to go after there is. The Dragon Ray gives you selection, but I think it was quite far from flipping or turning big. And if the Delver flips, it's a much faster clock for you as well.
Yeah, that's always an interesting one. I think I normally look at the metric of how many cards are in the Delver's player's hand, because if they have more cards, then the Dragon's Rage Channeler is just going to provide more value. But if they're already like a bit lower on resources, then maybe it's going to be hard for them to transform this Dragon's Rage Channeler into a 3/3. So maybe the Delver becomes the better shout there. And also depends how well your deck can interact with the graveyard. So if you're playing like a Paducah Bog deck, maybe hitting the Delver is the better choice there. But normally I would go for cards in hand and see if I can nail like the channeler before they get to leverage the +1 surveil to every spell.
Yeah, oh, that sounds fair. Looking at the second matchup, the mono red matchup, also a comment from me there early was that I'm really happy that I got to face that deck, because we don't have it that much in our local metagame on our Thursday nights. So it was nice to get some reps, because that's one of the decks that I would feel if I went to a large tournament now, or if I played like a premium event, I would most definitely face that deck at least once or twice during the tournament, because it feels like it's one of the most played decks right now, and it feels really good as well.
Yeah. So the decks I chose to play today were the 3 most played decks according to MTG Goldfish, but also the 3 decks with the most top 8s of online challenges since the start of January.
Yeah.
So I thought they would be like the best gauntlet to sort of show off what the meta looks like right now. And I think mono red is an interesting matchup for you, because sometimes the blood moons help you rather than hinder you if you have the right stuff. So I had a choice of playing blood moon on turn 2 in one game, or I could play the Fable. And because you already had the Reclaimer down, it just seemed better to play the Fable and sort of get something going on the board before trying to sort of curtail your mana. And maybe that doesn't work. It maybe buys me 1 turn where you get to activate your Reclaimer and find a basic, but then that 1 turn I'm not doing anything with it. Whereas if I already have a Fable down and then make you do it, then I'm actually gaining some tempo on that one.
Exactly. And with the Fable down, it also allows you to kind of aggressively go for the 4-drops. And I think that's the 4-drops in the mono red Stompy deck right now, when they're playing both rings and Pyrogoyfs, is what's pushed that deck a little bit up on top. And it's so hard for me to limit your mana if you have the Goblin token, the Goblin generating 1 treasure per turn as well. You'll get to 4 mana eventually. Otherwise, I mean, when we had the old mono red Stompy deck with the goblins that made Goblin tokens, you could go after the soul lands a little bit more aggressively and kind of hinder it. But with the Goblin token and stuff like that working for you, it's harder for me if you play that as an early pressure. And then as a comment to what you said there as well, with the Reclaimer down, the moons are annoying. That's what they are. They're more annoying if you have a Blood Moon down than if you have a Magus down, because I tend to play more removals for the Magus, but or the Magi, yeah. But I didn't feel that bad there. Unfortunately, I didn't draw any lands that specific game. So I think that if I got a land down there, and I was able to start emptying my hand, because you got a Chalice down as well, and I had a lot of. Maybe that was the first game, but I know you got a Chalice down in one of the games, and I had a lot of 1-drops that I hadn't been able to cast because I had so much colorless mana in the deck. And that's one of the things that people don't really think about, that the green-white depths is actually a 3-color deck, because you play so much mana that doesn't produce colored mana in it, that becomes a problem like it was here.
Yeah, so in my experience playing like the green-white depths, I'm not very good at playing them. I find them quite difficult to play because they're quite unique in how they operate compared to, like, I've played quite a lot of lands in the past, but that plays very differently to green-white depths. Obviously, turbo depths is very different, even though they both have some overlap. But in my experience, when people are trying to splash a 3rd color into like the green-white depths decks, it kind of feels more like trying to splash a 4th color, because like you said, you have all this colorless mana, and I really don't like it. I understand why people do it, because obviously it does some incredible work if you've got something like an Orcish Bowmasters. But I think the extra fragility it brings is just something that I'm not that comfortable with. I tend to like lifting up the floor of my decks rather than pushing the ceilings up as a general rule.
And I totally agree there. And now I was on a slightly different build today than I usually am. But the one of the benefits with going green white as well is that you can play one fewer fetch land, and you can play Saga if you want to as well, as a kind of an additional an additional grindy card if you want to do that. You can't play that in 3-colored, or at least I haven't gotten to work in 3-color because it's just
Bit
one
too much, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think.
yeah, it is. But otherwise, I felt very run over in that game.
Yeah, I just kind of did the silly mono red thing where I just sort of played nothing but haymakers every single turn, and it's just like, well, yeah, no breathing room allowed for you, and the One Ring is a pretty messed up Magic the Gathering card.
It is.
I think if my 4-drop was not the One Ring in the game where I had the One Ring, then that game could look a little bit different. But it just meant that I think that was the game where you wastelanded me off of an Ancient Tomb.
Yeah.
And I think I had the One Ring running at that point. I just played the One Ring. And I think I was kind of hoping that you would wasteland rather than commit something to the board at that point. Because if you had, obviously I didn't know what was in your hand, but if you had any sort of body that you could put on the board, and I think that I would be more afraid of that, because the One Ring was probably going to find me enough mana to produce something on the following turn.
Yeah, I think that I went into that trap because I think that what I was talking about there was just that, I'll try to limit the amount of mana resources that you have access to mitigate some of the ring's card draw, but you also play so many mana sources in that deck, right? It's
about 50% mana, I think.
Yeah. So I mean, that's probably not a winning proposition when you get to draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 many cards.
I think once the One Ring comes down, it just changes the texture of the entire game, where you need to try and win before I can leverage all the cards.
Yeah.
Or have a Collector Roof and jam me up. It's sort of the two main options there, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, even the Collector Roof is a little bit rough now with Pyrogoyfs, and I don't know if you played the Furies as well.
Yeah,
but
the build I was on today had 4 Fury, but only 2 Pyrogoyfs.
Yeah.
But I was running the 2 Lotus Petal build, so it had slightly more fast mana, so you're more likely to be able to play like a busted 3-drop, like a Moon on turn 1.
Yeah.
Because I have found when I played the mono red builds before with the 4 Furies and the 4 Pyrogoyfs, sometimes I don't have the mana to play these 4-drops, so they just kind of sat there in my hand. Whereas just the couple of Lotus Petals to help you power out the opening thing means that you're keeping more opening hands, I think, and that makes a big difference. I'm not a mono red player by any stretch of imagination. I'd rather play Burn than mono red Stompy, to be honest with you. But I think that's an observation that I've had because I play a lot of Legacy, and I sort of see these things from both sides of the table.
Yeah, and then one of the things that we always talk about, if you want to get better at playing Legacy as well, of course, learn your deck, but pick up some of the decks that you don't like playing as well, just to learn how they work as well. You know,
I say that, but every time I play Storm, I just have a horrible time. I cannot play that deck to save my life.
I brought that to my local game shop once, and then there I promised myself never to do it again. So I do understand exactly what you're saying there.
The way I like to see playing Storm on my channel is sometimes I have these really in-depth tactical leagues, and sometimes I have ones that are more like fun entertainment, and that's how I feel when I play Storm.
Yeah.
It's more of an entertainment thing because I really struggle with that deck.
Yeah.
But it's good to show other people, like, they may be able to see the lines I'm supposed to take, and it helps them sort of go, okay, this guy's a bit of a clown, but I can see how you could do this better. And I feel that's somewhat educational, even if I'm embarrassing myself.
Yeah, that's I agree. I totally agree, and I do like watching some Storm play sometimes as well. As you said, I would probably not pick it up for something that's more serious or where I'm looking for true enjoyment. But so the last deck that we tried is the Reanimator, and that deck is not dead.
It's not okay.
No,
it's really not okay.
No.
It is the best performing deck in Legacy right now in terms of top 8s, and it's too much. It was the only deck that I said needed 2 bannings when we had the last ban cycle, and I feel relatively justified in that.
Yeah, it's scary that it's lost the 2 best cards the last 6 months, first Grief and now the Frog, and it's still going really, really strong. But it's such a hard deck to kind of combat against, because you have the broken Entomb Reanimator start of the deck, and then you have the fair grindy part. I mean, before the Reanimator players went back to playing blue, because I mean, if we go back to the way old days, Reanimator was a blue deck as well. But then we
Careful
had
Study, Mystical Tutor,
yeah.
all that sort of jazz.
Yeah, exactly, and the really bad threats, the non-fire design threats. But now, when it was like the black-red one, you didn't face counterspell. There wasn't really a good fair plan. They tried it, but it wasn't really that good as well. But now, when you both have to play cards in your deck that beat a counterspell, like you need to play Fairy Macabres and Surgical Extractions and cards like that to have a chance, it makes these kind of fair toolbox decks a lot worse in that matchup, because you're playing cards that you take up a board slot, and a board slot is really, really important, and you're kind of reliant on having that as well. So the old keep Elvish Reclaimer turn 1 plan doesn't work anymore. So it's kind of rough in that way.
Yeah. So I think it might have been the second game. I played a really sort of slow game, just taking it, step by step. And I had the ability to try and send it quite early if I wanted to. But I just was like, no, let's just check all the boxes, because I had the fatal push. So we can make sure that we don't have to worry about your creatures. And then when I'm ready, like a turn 2 Archon of Cruelty is really busted. But a turn 4 Archon of Cruelty is also really busted. So it doesn't matter if you sort of take your time. And I just had all the resources. The particular build I'm running today as well, I really like. This is one with the Tainted Indulgence, and it's also got a Murktide region in it. So the blue count is just much higher than the other builds that are running things like Bowmaster. So it just felt like I could actually reliably Force of Will stuff when it was in my hand, instead of having to be like, okay, I get to cantrip or Force of Will, I can't do both. And that was a really nice change. And Tainted Indulgence seems really good, because it's either it's always draw 2 cards, right? It's either put a creature you don't want in the graveyard, so you've basically drawn 2 cards, or late game it just is draw 2 cards.
It's that's really sweet. And one of the problems that I've noticed, because I've been playing Green White Depths at like the large tournaments that I played lately, and every time I face up against Reanimator or Blue Black Temper for that matter, I'm always it's the fatal push. It's such a good removal card against my deck. For when there were more bolts out there, or you could say plows as well, but more bolts and cards like that was a little bit easier. But the fatal pushes are just so efficient, because they can get the knight, they can get all of my threats. I don't play a threat that costs more than 3 mana.
Playing threats that cost more than 3 mana in Legacy right now is a pretty bold thing to do anyway, isn't it? So,
yeah, you need to go a red and Pyrogoyf, but that still dies to push. So
unless you're running Ancient Tombs.
Yeah, no, so I think that the push makes the matchup really hard for me as well.
The list I'm running only had 2 push-ins, so I was quite lucky to have one in the first game, I think. But I've obviously got more in the sideboard, but I think having 2 removal spells in a deck with 8 cantrips and then, 2 Tainted Indulgence and stuff, it comes up a lot still. And you can wrestle your way out of problems.
Yeah, that, and that you always have the possibility to go early as well. We didn't see the reanimate the troll plan, but I think that's also something that's really a really good plan out of that deck as well, because it's like, do I want to spend my precious anti-graveyard removal for the troll when I also know that an Archon might be hitting the graveyard a little bit later? Probably not, and then you kind of die to the troll anyway. So it's rough.
If you squint at Troll of Khazad-dûm just right, it does look a lot like Arkham's Astrolabe to me. Because it's like 1 mana. It makes your mana really like fine. This deck runs fewer lands, but it also has a really stable mana base of basics. So it kind of gives you that stability, and it doesn't cost you a card. And it also later on just randomly wins you the game. So a bit like where you sort of cantrip off of Blinking and Arkham's Astrolabe or whatever. But it just kind of does it all. I think if you want to sort of curtail this deck from a banning perspective, I think you probably need to hit either the Troll or the Entomb. I think it's either of those. I think Entomb is probably more sensible in my mind. But I could understand hitting the Troll, but that's such a weird card to ban.
Yeah, it is, and especially because that effect is available in green as well, and other colors, but it's just how well that card fits into this specific deck. I mean, it's not like it's a broken card in another black-based deck, but it's just this specific deck where it really kind of just solves a lot of your problems. But then I think that Entomb is if that card went, you could it's harder to get the reanimation package working in that case. And
Yeah, you'd have to be a dedicated deck, like Show and Tell is a dedicated deck to what it does. And I think that's probably a better space to be, given how powerful these creatures that we're reanimating are in the year of 2025.
Exactly. And I was thinking, because but just circling back to the troll discussion, just one point there as well, because I was sitting there when I was boarding and I was looking at my choke in the sideboard. I'm like, yeah, usually when I face a blue-based deck, I want to bring in choke, but this deck here is so efficient on working on a low mana count and has access to the troll as well. So I'm not even sure that that's a card that I want to bring in the game. I don't know what you do when you
three
face
mana
it.
is also like a big ask as well.
Yeah.
When you're under daze and all the other pressure the deck can put on you.
Yeah, I play a choke. You play the Goif, and then it's off to the races.
Yeah, the basic swamp it sounds weird, but the basic swamp is such a deal breaker in this deck. It really does smooth it all together.
Yeah, but it's also, you need relevant things to do with the basic swamp, but you do have relevant things to do with the basic swamp as well. And then like sacrificing an island or two is okay. You have the Brazen Borrowers that you can use on a pivotal turn to untap and do even more stuff. So I think that I think that choke is a card that's not a definite board in the game in the matchup, but I need to play that one a couple of times before I have my final verdict on choke there.
So where are you at right now with your sort of green-white depths?
So I see the two most problematic matchups from my experience isn't the three matchups that we played today, especially not Delver, but the two really hard matchups for me. It's the Eldrazi matchup and Nadu-based matchups. So the Eldrazi matchup is hard because of Sowing Mycospawn and Kozilek's Command. So Sowing Mycospawn messes with your mana in a way that you're not used to. They can go after your basic lands as well as your duels, so it's hard to kind of play off of basics and hope that solves itself. And then the Kozilek's Command can take care of Marital Age with just 2 mana, which is really tough.
Tell me about that one. Yeah. I've been a victim of a few Kozilek's commands. I think with a turbo build, obviously, it's a little bit easier because you sort of go under it. You're not building up to this plan. You're slamming it down quickly and accelerating it out and protecting it with like Not of This World and things. So you can usually deal with a Kozilek's Command a bit easier because they either have to keep the mana open early and not deploy pressure, or you can see where it's coming and you can decide if it's the time to go. Whereas obviously Green-White Depths is like a mid-range deck with this combo plan in. So you have to sort of try and play this mid-range game versus this deck with Sow Mycospawn and all sorts of nonsense.
Yeah, and they have Wastelands as well. So you can't really go... I mean, this deck has a hard time going aggressively for the Merit plan. You need like your perfect draw for it. Otherwise, we're talking about turn 4, turn 5. You need to build your board a little bit and get it up and running. And it's also turns off the step as well, which is one of the protection spells that you have access to. You can Talon Gates it, but it's hard if Marital Age is attacking. They Kozilek's Command it, and you go for Talon Gates, and you have to phase it out, and they get to untap, and they probably found another Kozilek's Command by that turn as well. So it's hard. You need to like go an early Safekeeper, and then have good lands that you can sack to keep it alive, and then go for a late game. And then if you're able to maneuver that, you still have the Fleshraker that keeps chipping you down. So it's hard, and I don't really know what the answer for that is. I've been playing some dampening spheres. It's called that turns off soul lands, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I've been playing that, and I'm also probably, if I went to play a tournament and I thought I'd face Eldrazi, and that's what you need to think, I would probably try 1 or 2 Cataclysms as well. I think that's probably the card that I've identified, because if you're able to build usually if you get to keep 1 creature, 1 land, you're fine against that deck. It takes them a while to rebuild it.
These aren't actually that big for the most part, are they? No. There's sort of lots of like 3/3s and 4/4s.
Yeah.
Sometimes they have the big exile guy at the top end of their curve. But generally speaking, your knight is going to outclass all their creatures in a 1-for-1 battle.
Yeah, and you'll have a diamond down as well, so you'll be on 2 mana or something like that, so you can start building forward on the game plan. But that's one of the decks where I feel like we're struggling. The other deck, the Nadu deck, you can choose any of the 3 variants of the Nadu deck, because we have kind of the same problem there where we can't interact with Nadu on the stack unless we splash red, and that's when we go into the territory of getting a deck that's harder to kind of beat the other games with as well, the other matches. So it's really hard to combat that deck as well, especially because you don't have the fast merit plan either. You have the kind of mid game merit plane and the merit plane, and that's what makes that hard. And as soon as they get to draw 4, 5, 6, 7 cards, it's really hard for you.
Yeah, they've got a bunch of like plows in their 75. Like even the sort of chord build still has a bunch of plows in the sideboard as well. Yeah. And if it's drawing all the cards in the world, there's not really much you can do to stop that either. And you can't really play anything like a Graphic Cage in your deck because you're already running Green Sun Zenith yourself.
Yeah. What I have done there is I brought in Dech Tech and said that your Green Sun Zenith is better than my Green Sun Zenith if I get to decide when we stop playing them. But now when we're playing some endings as well, it's even harder to justify Teague in that matchup because your removal is so important. The only good part about the Nadu matchup is that I haven't been seeing the deck that much. I thought that it would be one of the key contenders after the latest banning, but I haven't faced it that much.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I think Cephalid Breakfast has only had 4 top 8 online finishes since start of January, and that's out of 144 decks, I think it is.
Yeah,
that's a much smaller number I was expecting. And then the other Nadu decks have both got 1 or 2 appearances. But what I will say is the Buffalo Chicken Dip Legacy from a couple of weekends ago, there was 6 Nadu decks in the tournament, and 4 of them made top 8, and a Nadu deck won the tournament. And obviously Nadu just won the Legacy Showcase Challenge. So it's kind of a scary one. Like, I think the deck is better than people think it is, and people are going to sort of gravitate towards it a bit more. I've also noticed that recently Delver has been on the downtick, so it was putting up the most top 8s. And now the last couple of weeks it's slowed down, and now it's sort of getting massively outclassed by Blue-Black Reanimator as people kind of gravitate towards what has been found to be really good. So I'm curious to see if that happens with Nadu over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think that people are realizing that having a combo in your deck is probably something that we want to do, and then it's just finding the right shelf and the right combo that you like to play with, because that's kind of how it's been looking now, at least the last couple of months, maybe years. It all flows together, but it feels like you want to have some kind of eject button or some way to close the game when it's not going your way.
Yeah, I'm also thinking about sorry, I muted my mic there.
Yeah, no problem.
Sorry. With Nadu as well at the moment, I think there's lots of different versions that you can play. And one of the issues with playing most of the versions, and the best versions, I think, because I think the mid-rangey one with all the control spells is probably the weakest of the 3. Yeah. I think the amount of clicks that you have to do, like we had a couple of weeks of the lag on Magic Online being so severe that you couldn't really play that deck. There wasn't enough time to play it. So maybe that also contributed to it not being represented as much. But it is kind of miserable to like.
It is. I wonder now that the Cub is online as well. I think it's online now, or it's coming online really soon. The 2-mana cat creature that doubles your counters a little bit faster than Bristly Bill does. I think that.
Oh, is that out now? Is it online?
Yeah, I think I saw it on some lists, or I was just reading that it's going to be online really, really soon. But I think it's online now, so that's going to kind of shorten down the some of the matches, at least when you have that card out. It gets really. I actually played a lot of the mid-rangey version of Nadu locally at I took a little bit of a depth pause, and that cat could close games that you were losing. But it kind of, the problem with that deck, as I saw it, was that you played too many mana dorks, so you weren't really a good control deck, you weren't really a good mid-range deck, and you weren't really a good combo deck, so it didn't really find its footing. I think at the breakfast build or the elves build is a lot stronger.
Yeah, I agree with both of those statements. Yeah. I think the The mid-range build is fine. I think it's people that want to play control and they're like, well, I guess the best control deck is actually a combo deck
Yeah,
with
yeah,
some
exactly.
control-y elements. So maybe
That,
that's what the
yeah.
plan is.
But if we talk about it, just to kind of close up the argument of where I see the Green White Depths deck position, that was kind of the bad matchups, and then also Mono Red and Reanimator being hard matchups. It's you need to learn and have a plan for them. I don't think that I have the best plan right now, but I think that you can beat them. But I think that one of the benefits right now is that you're not facing like being control decks or other control decks, and control decks have historically been a really poor matchup for the Green White Depths deck. So if you can find a way to attack the most popular decks, the 3 decks that we played today, and still have a plan for the other matchups, I think that this could be a viable option. You need to play well. I didn't play well today, but you need to play well in your games as well. But if you do that, I think that this could be a potential sleeper deck, because it does have, as a toolbox deck, you can start attacking these decks in various ways. You just need to find the right one. And if we were to see a ban on one key card from one of these decks, but still not making control a viable deck anymore, I see ourselves very good positioned in that case.
Yeah. On the topic of control, I think there's been 4 control decks that have had top 8s since the start of January. That's the sort of level we're dealing with right now.
Yeah, and usually control decks are quite popular. It takes time to win, but if you're a competent blue wizard, you always want to sleeve up a control deck, I guess. So how do you, if you were to go to a tournament, which of these top decks would you bring? Which is the kind of the most broken one?
I think Blue Black Reanimator is probably the most busted one, but I don't have this in paper, and I like playing Delver. So if I was going to play any of these decks, I would probably play Delver. But I don't know if I like the current Delver builds as much as other people do. I was an old school rogue player, so I used to play with Nimble Mongoose and Stifles, and I'm going to play that again on the channel soon. Something along those lines. Maybe not Nimble Mongoose, but I think Stifles are actually in a pretty reasonable spot right now.
Yeah, no, they solve some of the problems. I was looking at some Dreadnought decks and playing around with those as well, because you get to play the Stifles for free and the consigns as well. But the Dreadnought isn't the best positioned creature right now either. Dice to push, etc., etc.
Yeah, but you only need to protect it for a very short window of time at least.
That's true. But if you were to what do you see any sleeper decks or any of the like non-meta decks, if you want to call them, that you feel is well positioned right now?
Well, this probably won't come as any surprise to you, but I think Turbo Depths is actually in a pretty good spot right now.
Yeah.
So, like, obviously, I play it quite a lot, and my win percentage with it is over 70% into the field. Obviously, I play the deck a lot, so I'm going to have a little bit of an edge compared to someone just picking it up. But the matchups into a lot of the top decks are really good. Like, the Nadu decks aren't great, but like we were saying, there's not that many Nadu decks surfacing at the top. So being able to be good into like the Reanimator decks and good into like Mono Red is basically a buy for the deck. It's really good. And Delver is another reason to play Turbo Depths. So I think it matches up well into the format because there's not loads of sort of grindy white decks around like Green White Depths.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Yeah, I always liked to face Turbo Depths when I was on Green White Depths. That was we had a local player who usually sleeved that up, and that felt good from the Green White place. Yeah, it was.
It's not a good time for poor little Turbo Depths stuff, but I think I actually wrote an article on my Patreon today. Not that I'm plugging, but but it was about how the breakdown of the format at the moment and what decks are doing well. And how I think that you have a lot of people that aren't indexing as hard as they should be into main deck Graveyard Hate. So before we had the bannings, people were running, you'd have Delver decks with 2 Grafdigger's Cage in the main deck. And you'd have all these decks running like 2 Nile Spellbomb and stuff like that. And people just aren't doing that as much anymore. But if you look, the actual percentage of decks that are making top 8s on online events the graveyard centric decks has actually probably gone up a little bit because you don't have things like Carnforge anymore. So I think you'd be looking at running some more graveyard hate. And, there are a lot of good graveyard hate cards that people should just be running as creatures. Like once upon a time, we used to have like 4 endurances, like packed into Bant control decks even. I think we should be going back to seeing a lot more stuff like that because endurance is really good into a lot of decks right now.
Yeah, I played some Reanimator, Frog Reanimator when that was legal against the Cradle Control deck, and we couldn't win that match. They had 4 main deck endurances. It was impossible.
I also like the new tech from the Cord Nadu decks of Gilded Drake. So if they do manage to get a big monster, you can just cord up your Gilded Drake and take it.
Yeah.
So you don't have to keep your mana open all the time. You can play your own game, and then when you need to, you can just pivot and grab their guy.
I was, I mean, why can't Green Sun Zenith be a little bit more like Cord sometimes? You need to put a painter in play or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, but but that's great. And I mean, once again, thank you very, very much for playing some games against me, but also kind of sitting down and talking. That's always nice to do, and always nice to be able to talk to someone new about some games and matchups and stuff like that. So I really, really appreciate this. Thank you a lot.
Well, I had a great time, and I really appreciate you spending the time to chat to me as well. And for people watching on my channel, the link to the Chrono Moon channel will be there, and you can check out the other side of these matches when it comes out.
Yeah, well, that's the same thing here as well. I'll fix that. Everything that you said.
No worries. Thank you very much for today.
Yeah, thank you. Have a nice day and keep safe.
Remember, everyone, like and subscribe, everyone. There you go. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.